Mayday, mayday, mayday. The ultimate cry of pure aviation terror. Hearing this phrase means absolute disaster is unfolding right now. It forces complete silence on the radio and clears all flight paths. But why do pilots use a word that sounds like a spring celebration? And how did it completely wipe out the legendary S.O.S. radio signal? To uncover this mystery, we must travel back to 1923 and look at early aviation. Back then, the S.O.S. signal was the absolute undisputed king of all emergency communications worldwide. Today, most people falsely assume those famous letters stand for Save Our Souls or Save Our Sinking Ship. In reality, telegraph operators chose it purely for its simple and unmistakable Morse code rhythm. 3 quick short dots, followed by 3 long heavy dashes, and ending with 3 quick dots again. This was an elegant and perfect solution for massive ocean liners equipped with telegraph machines. However, commercial flying technology rapidly evolved after the conclusion of the First World War. Brave pilots transitioned away from tapping mechanical keys and started utilizing voice radio systems. This seemingly massive technological leap forward unexpectedly created a highly dangerous new problem. Imagine yelling SOS into a primitive microphone while navigating an extremely noisy open cockpit biplane. The letter S produces a high-pitched hissing noise that gets completely swallowed by heavy radio static. Desperate cries for help were being constantly misunderstood or totally ignored by the ground stations. Aviation authorities urgently realized they needed a completely fresh and audible distress signal. It required a unique word that could forcefully pierce through overwhelming atmospheric interference. The massive responsibility fell upon a man named Frederick Stanley Mockford in 1923. Mockford worked as the chief radio officer handling crucial communications at Croydon Airport near London. Croydon was essentially the bustling, beating heart of the rapidly expanding British aviation network. His mission was to find a foolproof vocal command that every single operator would instantly recognize. Mockford carefully analyzed the daily flight logs and noticed a massive pattern in the travel routes. A huge percentage of the daily cross-channel air traffic flew directly between London and Paris, France. Therefore, this new life-saving term absolutely had to make perfect sense to English and French speakers. He cleverly started deconstructing the standard French phrase for "come help me," which is "venez m'aider," by simply isolating the final 2 syllables, Mayday. He stumbled upon an absolute stroke of genius. When spoken aloud, the phonetic pronunciation sounded virtually identical to the English word Mayday. The acoustic properties were flawless, featuring strong consonant sounds that shattered radio noise. Plus, nobody casually discusses a spring festival while wrestling an aircraft through a deadly storm. By 1927, the entire global community formally adopted this brilliant distress protocol. However, establishing the magic word was only half the battle. They still needed strict operational rules. You will never hear a professional aviator calmly speak this sacred emergency word just a single time. International aviation law demands it must always be loudly repeated exactly 3 times in succession. This mandatory triple repetition effectively serves 2 incredibly vital safety functions for the crew. First, it guarantees that if transmissions drop, at least 1 clear vocal signal survives the static. Second, it entirely prevents deadly confusion if a pilot casually mutters something about a nice day. Recognizing those 3 shouts triggers an immediate response from controllers called Silence Mayday. This legally forces every other aircraft on that frequency to instantly shut up and stay off the air. But what happens when you face a severe mechanical issue, but your wings are not actively falling off? The modern flight industry actually utilizes a carefully structured tiered hierarchy of danger signals. For urgent situations lacking immediate catastrophic threat, like an injured passenger, they use pan-pan. Continuing the tradition, this derives directly from the French phrase en panne, translating to broken. And just like its more terrifying older sibling, this secondary warning requires 3 identical shouts. To ensure absolute safety, maritime and aviation protocols also use security for basic weather warnings. So remember, one clever radio operator transformed a foreign plea into a universal shield for the skies. If you want to decode more hidden aviation secrets, please hit subscribe, leave a like, and comment.